Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your host. You call me CM. Alright, CM. Alright, another episode of Common Sense Perspective. And the topic of today, I saw this the other day, and that is this the migrant flights. Alright, so if you haven't heard, um, before I talk about this though, welcome to the Common Sense Perspective, where I just bring in a perspective of things in a nonpartisan way. I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm just completely playing it down the middle, but I'm kind of right leaning just because it just makes more common sense on the right leaning side of things. And so, with that, it's just a topic that we've been knowing and seeing for quite some time is the illegal immigration and all that stuff. And so, a couple months ago, they come to find out that there's been a program for quote unquote migrants, all right, and with what it was is that there was like a program that opened a couple of years ago, and it was only for a couple of countries that were, so quote unquote seeking asylum, and they had to go through these hoops and all that to take these migrant flights, and Biden has been flying in migrant flights in a tune of 30,000 a month for the longest time. All right, let me see if I can find something on that, and I'll tell you what I mean here, or show you what I mean here. Let's see here, the Biden migrant flights. All right, we'll just call it flight program. And the biggest news is that the administration froze this migrant flight program. So you're flying in 30,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela if they have sponsors who agree to support them financially. And so the biggest news that came out of this is that, besides illegal immigration coming from the same countries, you have this flight program that's supposedly supposed to help these seekers coming in, due to, having difficulties in their countries and all that. Well, come to find out, they froze the program because of, you guessed it, fraud. All right, fraud. There's a massive fraud, so they put a pause in the program. Who'd have thunk that, right? That there's fraud in the migrant flight program of Biden, right? And so, what was the fraud on? All right, so you're supposed to have these so-called sponsors, right? Come to find out, numerous registrations put in the same name, or put in the same addresses, or put in, all these different things, phone numbers, where when you put in the actual address, it actually led to some, weird location, not even a place of, where you would think a sponsor would be from or where they live. And there's like lots of different registration errors that weren't caught. It was just accepted, right? And they just said, okay, come on in, take the flight, right? And then once they looked into it, they was like, oh, wait a second, this person doesn't even live here. Oh, this person doesn't exist. Or how it was the same name or same sponsor that would sponsor numerous people, and it's like, how can one person alone sponsor all these people? So it was just funny how fraud has fraught this program, and it's like, well, common sense would say, how like how you would not seek any sort of organization in a sense of tracking everything and maybe looking deep into it, investigating things to find out, oh, wait a second, there's no sponsor over here. It's rather than just take it for what it is and, oh, yeah, come on in, guys. And then it's funny how, Biden would try to continue this sort of border program, border deal, right? And he was, what they were proposing, as in the Democrats were proposing, which the Republicans were, shot down. They said, we're not doing this shit. All right. So, the proposal was to restrict to 5,000 a day. Once it hits more than 5,000, then they will put a pause in it for like a week or something like that, right? And then that proposal, but then undercover, if let's just say U.S. agreed to that, all right, or not U.S., the rest of the government agreed to that. So if the rest of the government agreed to that, well, you still had this program that was flying in 30,000 a month, so that wasn't going to stem this quote unquote migration, right? And so, yeah, it's just crazy how they do some sneaky shit and then not expect it to eventually, you know, pop up out of nowhere. And so, yeah, so they paused this program for who knows how long. Hopefully, I hate to say it, but forever. Because can't help everybody. All right? Let them deal with their problems. We got to deal with our own problems. We got our own problems. And then when you look at everything else that's happening, right? Not only are they coming in from Mexico, they're coming in from New York now, or I'm sorry, the Canada side into New York. Everybody wants to go to New York, right? Probably the most first sought after place to go is New York, then Chicago, and most, I guess, other sanctuary cities like Denver or whatever. But then the most other common places for California, right? They want to go to where the most benefits are being offered, right? You got a free place to stay, you got debit cards, you get food, all kinds of stuff. You're set up, right? And New York offers that because they're a sanctuary, and they have this right to shelter policy and all that, which is crap. And then California offers everything, right? Oh yeah, we'll give you free health insurance too, and we'll take care of you guys. So it's just stuff like that. It's just like wow. But yeah, so this is the biggest news that came out over the last couple of days is they're freezing this program because of fraud. It's just funny how that is, and like on top of that, they were actually going to get ready to open up this to where say like if the seeker is married, they were going to have this sort of special marriage program too, that would allow, I guess, the spouses and stuff that's connected to the quote unquote illegal migrant and let them come in. And it's like, man. But yeah, so that was the biggest news a few months ago, early in the year, about how they were secretly flying in 30,000 a month. That's a lot, if you think about it. On top of the daily, migration that comes in through the borders. So they're doing everything that they can just to let them in, let them all in, right? And so to me, common sense would say enough is enough, that we're against all this. And I'll be the one to say that, how a lot of people always say, well, there's no offense against them, migrants, illegal immigrants, and all that. There's no offense, because they're just kind of going to where they're being allowed to come in. It's like, no, I don't give a shit. I don't give a damn about them. And they could just go back to where they came from. They could just, we need to close the border. All right. And we need to close the border. I don't care whose hurt feelings it is. If you're illegal, you don't belong here. Sorry. Go back to your country. Get back in line. Deal with it, right? We got to deal with shit over here all the time. We got to deal with high prices of everything as a result of these illegal immigrants. The what do you call it? The inflation, everything that's going on, and they're part of the problem. All right, migrants, illegal, whatever. They're part of the problem. All right, um, because they're not helping us. They're just part of the problem. They're doing is just taking up resources, taking up everything that we need and that we're actually paying for, and they're not. And so, what's the benefit of what they're getting for us, right? So I'm just saying, you know, like what gives here, right? So everybody, common sense knows deep down, whether you say it or not, we don't give a damn about them, and we shouldn't, right? But bald-headed dildos like him don't give a shit. Biden don't give a shit. And if you want to keep voting for blue, and you want to keep going with this extension of this Biden administration by voting for Kamala, go on ahead. All right, keep on voting for that. Oh, because you're scared of Orange Man, you're scared of Trump, you're scared of all the stuff that he's gonna just take over and all. Get out of here. All right, trash. If you have that kind of mentality and not have an open mind, that, hey, at least he's doing shit. All right, he already foresaw what was coming, right? When he said they're not sending their best, they're not sending their brightest. They're letting out the prisons, they're letting out the mental hospitals, they're letting out everybody to come here. That's true. Because everything that he said was true, right? They're just letting out everybody out of the country. And they don't give a damn about it. And why do we have to care about it? You know what I mean? So that's just something that bothers me. Common sense says we gotta stop this shit, right? And so I mean, there's a couple other extensions to this topic of talk today. All right, for example, I mean, where can I go with that? I mean, aside from this flight program that's happening, or that's on pause now, right? And they're part of the problem, right? Besides coming in illegally on the borders, now they're coming in on the north side because there's really no border protection up there. It's just more like, hey, if you could deal with the I guess the atmosphere, the terrain of it all, then all right, cool. If you cross that terrain, you're in. No worries. All right, no one's going to be there to question you. No one's going to ask for your papers. No one's going to ask for nothing. And you can fly without any passport from Mexico to Canada. No questions asked. You pay it, you go, you fly. You don't need documents, right? So that's crazy that you don't need like a passport. But for us, we got to have a passport, everything. Just to even take a cruise to Mexico, which I did a month ago, right? You still had to have a passport. Just to take a cruise, a 4-day cruise to Mexico, you still had to have a passport. It's like, isn't that crazy? That's insane. All right, but then you could be from Mexico and fly to Canada, all right, and it'd be cool. There's nothing wrong. You could walk over the U.S. illegally, and you'll be fine. You don't need no passport. Just walking in illegally, just say I'm illegal and they'll let you in. But for us to even take a cruise to Mexico, all right, we still had to have passports. It's like, what is? I mean, it's just so one-sided against us, and we're the ones that are suffering the consequences. And it seems like the government don't care. The government doesn't care. But if you want to continue to support and go about the current policies and all that, don't you think that Kamala would do the same thing? Because she is part of that same administration. Yeah, so all I gotta say is, hey, if you want to keep doing it, keep doing it. Keep voting for the blue. Keep voting for the current administrative policies, because that if Harris gets elected, that, oh man, the rabbit hole going down into is going to be so much bigger. and so much more progressive. And her agenda, man, it's gonna be. Whew, all I gotta say is prepare for even. You think it's bad now? Prepare for it to be worse right now. So all I gotta say is, yeah, keep doing it, because that's what you guys want. All right. And so, and speaking of that, I guess you could say in connection to that, here's another thing that's been happening here. Let me go back to YouTube here. And so, let me see here. Another thing that's happening is there's a proposal. I don't see it on the headline for YouTube here, but there's actually a proposal that Republicans are putting up for is sanctuary cities. Let's see, sanctuary cities that are going to get, I guess you could say, consequences for sending their illegals out to other places, right? Kind of spread them out. And why are sanctuary cities doing that? Because their shelters are full. Everything about what's happening, they're trying to just spread it out now because they're full. They are, costing them a lot of money. In all these different places like New York, Ohio, you see it there, right? Chicago, Denver, LA. So when you look at it, right, and when you look at it, their shelters are full. Their money is shot. All right, the budgets are shot. And so what are they doing? They're secretly filtering them out to neighboring cities, neighboring states. And so the thing about it is that they want, like, for example, let me see here. What they want.
Wix gives you the
Damn
power
it.
of.
Come on, clicking on everything. But what they want is, you know what? These guys need to get punished for doing that shit. So I hope that law passes because it makes sense, right? It makes sense that if you reap what you sow. So if you are opening up with open arms and accepting them and trying to say, come on over here, we're a sanctuary city and we're going to support you, and now you're full and your budget's shot and all that crap, don't be pushing it out to other places and all that, because like that right there is common sense that, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be taking them in the first place, yeah, because there's only so much that cities can budget for things, and if you keep filtering money to pay for it, then where are you going to get the money for it when you have a shortfall, right? And how do you expect anybody to support your policies if you're going to keep on accepting illegals and you're giving everything to illegals? So hopefully those cities either push to vote out their current administration, whether it's the mayors, representation of city leaders, county leaders, state leaders, all that stuff, votes them out or even recalls them out if there's a chance to do that. Yeah, because that's just not right. Because you know what I would do if I was in a neighboring city and next thing you know, I see these people get dumped off into my city or my county or my state, I would just round them right back up and send them right back to your place. Be like, sorry, this is where you actually came from. This is where you belong, right? You want them with open arms, that's what you're going to get. You're going to keep getting them with open arms. And I would actually run my own program into making sure that no one filters over into my city or county or in my jurisdiction and be like trying to take advantage of resources and all that stuff and act like you've been here when you've never been here and act like you'll be fine. Nah, we're going to round you up, put you right back. And there's no harm and no foul. You're just going back to your sanctuary city. That's it. I'm not sending you back to the border or nothing. I'm just sending you back to your city that you came from. That's it. I mean, there's no harm, no foul, right? And we'll handle you guys with kids' gloves if you need to, but making sure you get back to where you belong, the sanctuary city that you came from. Yeah, it's not right if they're getting filtered over and into red states, red places when they never had those policies. They never were open about allowing it in the first place. So why would they accept them now just because it's out of our good graciousness? No, we shouldn't, because we don't have the means to take care of unwanted people or illegal people in the first place. And on top of that, if you're illegal and you commit a crime, common sense would say you just get sent back to where you came from, because it's kind of a privilege to be here. You would think it's a privilege to be here, and that you would just commit a crime, you just get taken back, no questions asked. You get sent back, see you, out of here, right? I think if things were happening in that way, instead of like a catch and release, instead of all this bullshit zero cash bail stuff, especially for illegals, and and it's obvious that even though there's no quote unquote ICE involvement in sanctuary cities, it's pretty easy to tell if you're here illegally because of maybe where you live, in shelters, or maybe the IDs that you may not have, and you're just identifying yourself by verbal language. That okay, you must be illegal, but it doesn't matter. I think regardless of the fact, ICE or not, if you commit a crime, you should be sent back. Even though you're already here illegally in the first place, that's already committing a crime itself. You should be sent back to where you came from automatically, just because it shouldn't be happening. And that would better protect our country, you would think, common sense wise. And yeah, it's just crazy how you would think that. And you know how much crime would actually go down from illegals if they just simply did that, deport them automatically? So I don't know. I'm just saying that if that was the case, man, the difference that would just that simply make alone, like any sort of crime, send them all back, just like that. Even though they shouldn't be here in the first place, I mean, that's already a crime in itself, like I said. But anyhow, man, there's even another thing that came up too over the weekend. Takedown, right? Show by Chris Hansen. So, Takedown with Chris Hansen, right? He does shows that are about catching predators and all that. His most recent incident that just happened, most recently, within the last few days, was the arrest of, more child predators. But, there was like a recent operation where he caught 5, right? And 3 out of the 5, all right, 3 out of the 5 were illegal immigrants. And I'm sure that they're not going to get deported. And I'm sure they're probably going to be, jailed for a little bit and then released. Because, I mean, that's just what it is. Because, they're going to have some lame excuse about, they didn't actually commit a crime. They showed up to the house and all that stuff. They showed up to make a deal, whatever it is, right? That all it is just, they're here, sorry. What is it? Attempt? It was just the attempt to do it. So, let me see here. Let me see if they show that. Hell, there we go. Take down 3 illegal immigrants, right? And so, for soliciting a minor. And don't worry, guys. Don't worry. They didn't actually commit a crime. They just showed up to solicit. So these illegals won't be deported. They're just gonna be sent back. Just released. Just like that. Boom. There you go. And they'll be out on the streets again. Probably going to do the same shit until they actually do something, quote unquote, where they actually commit the crime itself, the actual crime. Then you will finally do something about it, whether you jail them or maybe prison them, because jail and prison's different, right? Jail is only a few days, prison's time serving, right? Maybe you actually get deported, right? But I'm sure that there's no, when you look at this right here, I'm sure that there's nothing's gonna happen to them, right? Nothing's gonna happen. So let me see here. They got caught soliciting minor for sex. 3 out of 5 were here illegally, which is crazy in itself. Look at them. Trying to see if there's any sort of what sort of punishment they would have to pay, right? It might be too early to tell. Yeah, they're not explaining what they're going to be doing time for or charged with specifically, but I'm sure that they'll be in jail for a little bit, and either they'll get released or they're probably going to get some sort of what do you call it, parole, probation, whatever you want to call it, probation. Don't do it again, guys, right? And they're going to do it. And that's the funny shit about all these things. And of course, illegal migrants, immigrants that are killing people, committing crimes. We got a big problem, right? And you think it's going to get better, right? No, it's not going to get better. It's just going to continue to just get worse and worse and worse. And you think you're not seeing anything now, right? Which we have been. Wait till Harris gets elected, man. She's gonna hook them up with jobs. She's gonna open up the borders even more, and there ain't a damn thing we could do about it because you guys voted for her. So, just saying, you reap what you sow, and if that's what you want to do, you want to keep voting blue, that's on you. All right. It's just like California, same thing. You keep voting blue, you keep voting for bullshit, shit coming from Gavin Newsom and all that, and you keep voting blue. That's what you get. It's all on you, right? They screw you. So yeah, keep doing it. Keep voting for it. But topic of discussion is common sense that if you're here illegally, shouldn't be. They should just be. Honestly, it should just be rounded up. They should have a mass deportation program. And a lot of people may not want to say it outright. I'll say it outright. They don't belong here. All right. And if anything, if Democrats are in a place right now where they may be up for like a re-election, they're going to be pandering. All right. They're going to pander and say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, just to try to get back on your good graces. And then once you vote them back in again, they're going to continue to worsen the problem. And again, you voted for it, you're gonna pay for it, right? That's what you want. That's what you're gonna get. And so it's just funny how you read these things that are happening every day, and it's just funny how things are, and we're paying for it. But that's what you guys want. You guys want it. You guys got it. So enough of all that. All right, comment down below. Let me know what you think. And we're always gonna have more to talk about. I got another one I want to talk about. So stay tuned as we got more to come. But what do you think? You guys think is it right to maybe we should close the border like for good and deal with the people? Look at this. Deal with the people that we're dealing with. I think we should just deport them all, honestly. And so we'll see what happens. Shoot me a comment. Let me know what you think. Other than that, this is your host CM, and I will catch you on the next episode. And there's always so much to talk about. See you next one.